ओमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। We're reading from Canto 5, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 15, Text 7. King Gaya gave full protection and security to the citizens so that their personal property would not be disturbed by undesirable elements. He also saw that there was sufficient food to feed all the citizens. This is called Poshana. He would sometimes distribute gifts to the citizens to satisfy them. This is called Prinana. He would sometimes call meetings and satisfy the citizens with sweet words. This is called Upalalana. He would also give them good instructions on how to become first-class citizens. This is called Anushasana. Such were the characteristics of King Gaya's royal order. Besides all this, King Gaya was a householder who strictly observed the rules and regulations of householder life. He performed sacrifices and was an unalloyed pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was called Mahapurusha because as a king, he gave the citizens all facilities, and as a householder, he executed all his duties, so that at the end, he became a strict devotee of the Supreme Lord. As a devotee, he was always ready to give respect to other devotees and to engage in the devotional service of the Lord. This is Bhakti Yoga process. Due to all these transcendental activities, King Gaya was always free from the bodily conception. He was full in Brahman realization and consequently, he was always jubilant. He did not experience material lamentation. Although he was perfect in all respects, he was not proud, nor was he anxious to rule the kingdom. So here, Shukadeva Goswami is describing the lineage of Priyavrat Maharaj. So in 4th canto, Shukadeva Goswami described about the lineage of Uttanapada. And in 3rd canto, he described about Swayambhava Manu's daughters. He described especially about Devahuti and others. So in this way, Swayambhava Manu's, all the kids who were there, so what they did is what is described in all these different cantos. And in this particular shloka, there is one personality called King Gaya. So his greatness is described, how he used to take care of his citizens. That's a very important thing to note, that kings and the brahmanas, they act as leaders of the society. And whenever Prabhupada gets chance, he'll make sure that he'll make a point that how condemned they have become, how gone case they are as of now, because they're not following principles of Krishna consciousness. And because of that, the entire world is in chaos. Only when the people at the top, if they are proper, naturally the subordinates who are there, they will be proper. If people at the top are chaotic, naturally the entire group of subordinates will be in chaos. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada is making a point that kings are called as Naradeva. Brahmanas are also compared to Devas only. But when they are not doing their task properly, then they cannot be called like that. But King Gaya was on a different platform altogether. Linking that to our life, so each and every one of us are acting or will be acting as spiritual leaders in the society. Society of ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And all of us will have this responsibility of taking care of some subordinates. For some people it might be 1 or 2. For some people it might be 10, 15, some people 100, some people 1,000, etc. Therefore, everyone should know that how to take care of the subordinates. And at the same time, what qualification I should have to take that role of a superior. Because if the same thing happens in our society, if the top is also chaotic, naturally the entire down, all the subordinates, they'll be in chaos, complete chaos. And then it's very difficult to maintain the entire organization. And more importantly, very difficult to practice bhakti in the society. As finally, we have enrolled into this organization just so that we can practice bhakti and attain Krishna's lotus feet. If that is not happening, what's the point? Therefore, here we have some principles that we can follow, especially as spiritual leaders. And when we follow these principles, then it will be very easy for us to take care of our own Krishna consciousness and help others to grow in Krishna consciousness. So King Gaya was doing a lot of things to teach all of us how to take care of one's subordinates. So as a spiritual guide or a spiritual mentor, the first thing that we are supposed to do is palana. Palana means to protect. So one should protect one's own subordinates. So what King Gaya was doing? King Gaya gave full protection and security to the citizens so that their personal property would not be disturbed by undesirable elements. So in Krishna consciousness, what is a personal property that devotees have? Bhakti is something, that's our personal property. That is something which we cherish. So this bhakti is the personal property of all the individual in Krishna consciousness. So now a spiritual leader is supposed to protect that from undesirable elements. What are the different undesirable elements that can hamper this property? Maya. How will you protect people from Maya? Yes, Maya is there. And? Some? Okay, office colleagues might. And? Smartphone. Yes. See, one thing is that anything or any person that is disturbing the property of the devotee, that is bhakti, we as spiritual leaders should protect that person. At times it happens that some people who call themselves as devotees but not practicing bhakti properly, what will happen is they'll have all that nonsense in their heart, all the contamination. And they'll have to have that sadistic mentality of torturing people. See, one thing is very clear that if our material platform, on the material platform, if you're not satisfied, if you're not stable, it's very difficult to practice bhakti on spiritual platform. Because what to do? As of now, we are fully convinced I am the body and not spirit soul. And in that we are made to theoretically at least understand that I am not the body, I am spirit soul. So there is a transition that is taking place. So now while doing this transition from material platform to spiritual platform, since most of the time is on the material platform and if it is disturbed, where is the question of making transition? I'll be busy sorting out this. Therefore, it's very important that we as spiritual leaders, we look into this matter very seriously, that what are those disturbing elements which is disturbing this person who is under my guidance. If say some devotee is disturbing, so we should go and talk to him and finish off. Not him, the matter. Yes. So we should finish off. Yes. If something is disturbing, like Prabhu said, smartphone, so we should see that how to help that person. Because many times it happens that the devotee is sincere, but the smartphone is not allowing him to become serious. They're two different things, by the way. Sincere and serious. So a person might be sincere, but he is not able to become serious. He is not able to go deep in bhakti. So therefore at that time our role comes into picture where we have to protect him from that. Now how will we protect? The innovation and other thing lies with us as spiritual leaders. Spiritual leaders have to be really very innovative. Because every living entity in this world is rebellious. All of us, we belong to that category. We have rebelled against Krishna and we have come here. Suddenly, how will we surrender to someone? We'll have our own things to do in this world. So the spiritual leader should have presence of mind and at the same time, they should be intelligent enough. Without the person understanding, we ourselves can help them very nicely. And if the person is somewhat good, some buddhi is there. There is no cow dung, it's only buddhi. then you can surely go and explain the person that this particular thing is not allowing you to grow. Please protect yourself from this. And if he is intelligent enough, if it's not rusted, then surely he'll be able to take these particular things, the description that we give, that please protect yourself from this, he'll be able to protect. So in this way, people or things, we should be always watchful that what is disturbing this particular devotee, and we should protect. The first principle is palana, protect. Second thing is poshana, nourishment. King Gaya also saw that there was sufficient food to feed all the citizens. Now this is a very important element in Krishna consciousness. Our food is there, but I'm talking about nourishment. So important element in Krishna consciousness is nourishment. See, one thing that we have to remember is every devotee who enrolls on this path of devotional service, we are not paying that person. It's a very, very important thing to note. In the office, when people go, even if the boss is chastising him, beating him, whatever, still he'll be there, sticking on to his lotus feet. Yes. Why? Because mil raha hai usko. And he knows this he'll be getting. Therefore, he will not mind. And maybe this is giving him poshana, therefore he is able to bear all the atrocities. But in spiritual circles like ours, where is the question of payment? We don't pay anyone. We don't pay. Then what is that by which the devotees are so enthusiastic? How is that the devotees are investing their valuable time, energy, money, etc.? Because they feel nourished. So only when they feel nourished, then they'll be able to invest their time, energy, money, etc. If they're not nourished, if they're feeling malnourished, they will not be able to sustain Krishna consciousness. Therefore, this poshana is very, very important. And a leader is supposed to focus on this. A spiritual guide is supposed to focus on this. That is poshana. So one has to get nourishment at 4 levels: physical, psychological, emotional, and spiritual. Now, physical nourishment, if the person is there in the surrounding, yes, we can feed nice prasadam. So the leader in the kitchen will take care of that. And then psychological and emotional. So the service in charge will take care of the psychological need based on the person's nature. He is engaged in a particular service that will nourish him. There are some services which will nourish the person nicely because he likes it. His nature supports that particular service. Emotional, by showering love and affection. So that is the role of every single person. One devotee shifted from one counselor to another counselor. He came out of one counselor and then he was searching for another. He didn't get. So I asked him, what happened, Prabhu? Why you don't want to be under that devotee? He said, Prabhuji, wo mujhe pyar nahi diye. Then I went to that devotee, since he was my friend. I was asking, Kyun bhai, pyar kyun nahi de raha tu? Now, so obviously, we cannot satisfy a person to a great extent. Yes. Because we also have our limitations. Especially when it comes to showering love, and if that is expected from brahmacharis, that's very difficult. Very difficult. So we are those impersonal creatures on planet. But still, whatever little we can do to satisfy the person, on the emotional platform, it should be done. See, finally, every single human being has this need and it has to be fulfilled. Even in brahmachari ashram, when the subordinate and the superior, they have got loving relationship, then naturally the person feels, I don't want to go anywhere. Similarly, in the community of devotees also, there should be some people whom we are connected to and we feel very nice when we are with them. So that person who emotionally satisfies others, we are expected to become like that. It's difficult, but we have to try. Because if you take the role of a spiritual leader, in any department, any circle, we have to make sure that this particular quality should be there. But the main focus of a spiritual leader, spiritual guide, is to nourish the subordinate spiritually. If the person is not spiritually nourished, Means one thing is very clear: how much ever you try to physically satisfy, say our kitchen leader is trying his best to satisfy all the devotees by giving nourishing prasad. But if a devotee's karma only is not proper and his stomach goes bad again and again, what he can also do? So that is physical. Psychological also. You never know what will upset us in the service. Emotional, we don't know how much emotional need he has. So you never know. Physical, psychological, emotional, very difficult to satisfy. But if someone is spiritually satisfied, rest of things will be taken care. This we tell even for the newcomers when they come for our first session. But then this is all the more valid and all the more important for devotees. Because spiritual nourishment is something that is needed because they are aspiring to be a realized spiritualist. How do we spiritually nourish devotees? Know that? Krishna Katha. So Krishna Katha is the most spiritually nourishing element. Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravana Mangalam Srimadatam Bhuvi Grinanti Ye Bhurida Janah. So Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam. So all the living entities who are suffering in this world, for them, the Poshana is what? Tava Katha. Whose Katha? Tava Katha. Lord's Katha. Therefore, when a spiritual leader, when he speaks from the Shastra, glorifying the Lord's name, form, qualities, pastimes, his paraphernalia like his devotees, when he glorifies, naturally the other person who is hearing will become nourished. Now here is a catch. If the person is not speaking from Shastra as it is, don't expect nourishment. Maybe the other person will have Manoranjan, but Atma Ranjan will never happen. Maybe entertainment might be there. In the entire class of 1 hour, 45 minutes you can crack jokes. And 15 minutes you can speak here and there. After the class, the person might say, very nice class. But you know what? The person will feel very hollow. Kuch mila hi nahi class se. Therefore, the condensed form of Krishna consciousness should be deposited in the heart of the person through Krishna Katha. As it is, if the person is speaking from Shastra, just repeating what Srila Prabhupada has told, packaging we can do the way we want. But the substance has to be the same. And if you can just stick on to as it is aspect and making sure that whatever we speak is authentic and bona fide, we will see the other person who is hearing will feel spiritually nourished. He will be ready to surrender his life in the mission of Krishna consciousness. Those places where devotees are not very enthusiastic to render service or to do sadhana, this is found. Poshana is not proper. So Poshana has to be very proper. Therefore, this Poshana is the main element or the main activity that a spiritual guide should do for his subordinates. Poshana. All the time he should think, how can I spiritually nourish this particular devotee who is under my guidance? So these are the two things that we have discussed. First is Palana. Second is Poshana. Third one, we can actually discuss a lot when it comes to nourishment also. But I think this much is enough. Repeating Shastra as it is. Next is Prinana. Making them happy in all respects. King Gaya would sometimes distribute gifts to the citizens to satisfy them. This is called Prinana. Now, gifts. What gifts you will give to people to satisfy them? What gift you can give? Small books. Very nice. Sweets. Okay, very nice. Sweets from this bakery or? Okay, temple bakery. Okay. Okay, sweet words. Sweet words will come. That is there. And? Okay, if you say you give a sweet, say you give gulab jamun or whatever, that will keep him happy in all respects? For all time? Maybe I have boys, I don't have what to say. I'm not sure. Maybe they'll be happy also. You can pray for them. See, one thing that we have to do is give them the gift of Krishna consciousness. Because what is missing in a Jivatma, what is missing in Jivatma is Krishna consciousness. If you give that, naturally he'll be completely satisfied. So we have to give them Krishna consciousness. Now already we are speaking and helping them from Shastra by speaking Krishna Katha. Katha by Krishna, Bhagavad-gita, Katha of Krishna and his devotee Srimad Bhagavatam. So we're trying our best to present it as it is. But along with that, after he hears us, is he practicing bhakti properly or not? That's a question mark. So that has to be monitored very nicely. Because we want to give them the gift of Krishna consciousness. But that person also should be ready to take, no? And how will he be ready to take? He'll be ready to take when he's doing his sadhana properly. And a very, very important thing, if we can teach them how to do proper sadhana, abhidheya, the thing that will take place is that they will improve their sadhana and they'll be able to advance in Krishna consciousness. So this is a gift. So we learn how to do sadhana properly and we help them. We give them the gift of doing sadhana properly. So in this way, when we help them to practice bhakti properly, step by step, when we teach them, they will feel this particular thing, prinana. They'll become happy. I see Krishna consciousness is a science, as Prabhupada says. Pratyakshavagamam dharmyam. So one can perceive it, perceive the transformation. He can see the changes. So it's a science. It's a process and it's a science. So process means you can just imagine a machinery. You put something from here and say the product here. Say you put a dough here and here chapati comes out. So now, after 10 times putting the dough, now 11th time when you put, rasgulla will not come out from here. It's going to be chapati only, if it's a chapati maker. Similarly, it's a process that is given to us. It's a proper process, flawless process. If you put the person here, when he comes out, he should be a devotee. But beech mein, if there is something wrong, then it's a problem. So now, what is going wrong? How he can improve? That is what we are supposed to help him with. This is the gift that we can give. Very, very important gift. Because it's a science and he should be happy at the end. There is no question of not being happy. If he's not happy, there is a problem. So what is the problem? He's doing something wrong. So we sit with that person and counsel. One very important gift that a spiritual guide can give is his time. Because no one is ready to give time in this world. But a spiritual guide should be able to give a gift of time. So when he sits with the devotee and tries to understand what is he going through, how is he practicing bhakti, etc., etc., then we can find out the flaws and help him. Arey bhai, you're doing this wrong. Do you sit with your mobile phone while chanting? Yes, Prabhuji. Why? No, there's something I read before chanting. But then between, do you open WhatsApp also? Sometimes. As soon as someone says sometimes, no, you should understand it's every time. Yes, sometimes kuch nahi hota hai. And when you ask newcomers, are you chanting Hare Krishna? And when they say sometimes, you should understand they don't do it all. Therefore, it's very important that we sit with the person and try to understand where is he going wrong. And when we understand where is he going wrong, then we'll be able to help him. Provided we know it properly how to do the sadhana. Therefore, we have to keep learning. In Krishna consciousness, learning never stops. Even after reaching prema stage, devotees learn how to serve Krishna better. Can you imagine? All the pure devotees, the perfected pure devotees, their learning never stops. In fact, they learn more than a sadhaka. A sadhaka has got that PDS, pure devotee syndrome. They are not pure devotee, but they think that they are pure devotee. And they feel, koi zarurat nahi. So they learn less, whereas the ones who are elevated, they learn more. Because they understand very clearly that learning can never stop. We have to keep improving in our service to Krishna. So therefore, we have to improve ourselves and keep giving the gift of time and giving the gift of how to do proper sadhana to the subordinates. So in this way, we can do prinana By this, the person will be happy. For sure. Because when the Abhidaya is getting proper, naturally the results will be seen. The first result of pure devotional service is what? Kleshagni. Now just imagine if Kleshagni happened in someone's life. Kleshagni means destruction of aprarabdha, kota, bija, and also prarabdha sometimes. Now say, if this happens, tell me why person will not be happy in all respects? He'll be extremely happy in life. Extremely happy. The next symptom of pure devotional service is Shubhada. All auspiciousness will come in his life. Tell me why he will not be happy. The only thing is, he should render pure devotional service. And who will help him to render pure devotional service? The spiritual guide will help him. And that is what is a gift that we have to give. Again, I repeat that the spiritual guide himself should be rendering pure devotional service to help his subordinates to render pure devotional service. So, Palana, Poshana and Preenana. The next one is Upalalana, treating them as sons. King Gaya would sometimes call meetings and satisfy the citizens with sweet words. One thing that we see in a family setup, I'm sure everyone sitting here might have some siblings, if not cousins at least would be there. But the ones who have siblings, they can surely have this experience of fighting very nicely. I used to beat my brother like anything. And I used to get beatings from my father for that. So now say my brother has done some mistake and I'm punching him nicely. Now after a few days, will I remember that and continue doing the same? तूने ये किया था मेरे साथ. Will I remember that and then plan for a revenge or something? I'll make sure that your life should be miserable. Miserable. No. If you are in the family setup, we see that even if someone does a mistake, forget about a brother, talk about a father and a son. That will be more better, because some people might not have siblings, they might scratch their head. I don't know this. When it comes to father and a son, say son does some mistake. Father told him to do something and then he is back answering, saying, I'll not do. This happened. I had gone to someone's house and father is saying, Beta, एक गिलास पानी ले आओ, प्रभु जी आए हैं. आप ले आइए. आप तो खाली बैठे, आप ले आइए. So sometimes Krishna sends some really good souls in the life of devotees, so that devotees can get purified faster. Such pure souls are coming in the family. On a serious note, now tell me, when the father, now say father might chastise also, but he will remember that for lifelong, and then he think that, okay, I want to make his life miserable. How should I do that? Maybe at night when he's sleeping, I should punch him or kill him or something. And next day I'll do this, after that I'll do this. No. The father will continue to shower the same love irrespective of what the son has done. The small boy who came, father was telling him something and he didn't like it. Sort to करके बजाया पापा को. Sort. I was just looking at the entire scene. I said I should have recorded so I can see it every day. Sort to करके बजाया. Now I was thinking, what will father do? Now since the child was small, the papa is just telling, beta, ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. Such a nice thing. See, this is called as a relationship of a father and a son. So the father is not minding. Obviously, if he does that after a long time, then father might mind. But even then, the father will not stop showering love. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Similarly, when it comes to a spiritual guide, now unfortunately, we are not that spiritually realized souls. We are not at the Bhagavan realization. We are still struggling to get Brahman realization 1. We are not the body, we are spirit soul. So now, when this is our condition, and it's just for the mission, when we have taken up the role of spiritual guide, it might happen that our material contamination will always be lingering around. And in what form? Say we are telling our subordinate something, the devotee who is taking guidance from us and he's not listening to us, or he insults us in some way. Now what happens, because of the material contamination, since we are on the bodily platform, we don't treat that person as our family member. We feel that he's some second person, some third person. But when it comes to bodily conception of life, we have family, we have our brother, father, etc. So in the bodily conception, what happens? It's very easy to forgive the mistakes of one's own family members. But when there's a third person whom we have accepted as our student or subordinate or whatever, to forgive that person, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. Therefore, this upalalana is not easy. Treating them as our own son. Beta to thappad bhi maar, koi problem nahi hai. Tolerating whatever they do. Oh, that's not easy. That's not easy. But if someone can do that, he's a proper spiritual guide. A proper spiritual guide or a mature spiritual guide will allow the subordinates to commit mistakes. And he'll devise some means to teach the lessons also. But he'll always be there by the side to help that person. He will never have that grudge in the heart. इसने सबके सामने मुझे इंसल्ट किया, सबके सामने देखता हूं मैं इसको, देखता हूं कैसे भगवत धाम जाएगा. I'll make sure that he will not go back home back to Godhead, and for that I'll also remain here. Obviously, if you have something in the heart like that, how are you going back home? You're not going. So in this way, you see, it's a very important thing to contemplate. Am I really doing this? Do I take grudge on some person who's taking guidance from me because he doesn't hear me, or he's speaking something weird or whatever? Then it's a problem. Then you're not doing upalalan. It's very difficult. Then you're not doing upalalan. We should do upalalan because this is a very important thing. And I've seen all the spiritual guides will agree with me that we have also done all the blunders and our superiors, they have tolerated. So always remember, karma comes back. ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा that you have done something to someone and that is not coming back to you. It will come back. It will. Recently, I was talking to one devotee. Maybe he's watching me online. So I was asking the devotee to shift to base. And he was giving many, many reasons for not shifting, and finally he shifted. And recently he was sharing that he was telling some devotee to shift to base for a very, very long time. And recently he shifted. So when he told me, Prabhuji, he's shifting to base, at that time I said, karma comes back. You made me suffer, someone else is making you suffer. And don't worry, for him also same thing is going to happen. Literally this is seen, and we should be very, very grateful to our superiors. If today we are so-called nahi bol sakte, if we are aspiring to be good devotees, it's all by the contribution of our superiors. They have tolerated us a lot because they accepted us as their own son. Similarly, it's our duty to do upalalana like that, the way we have got. Obviously, some people are not that fortunate to have mature guides. Sometimes immature guides will make the life miserable of the person. In fact, I've heard some cases where some spiritual authority, he targets someone and corners him and makes his life miserable. There are people like that, unfortunately. But we shouldn't become like that. What's the point? How are we spiritualists then? How are we aspiring pure devotees? No, that's not proper. So upalalana should be done. Tolerate. And there's an opportunity given by Lord Sri Krishna to all of us to practice the verse, the third verse of Shikshastakam. Trinadapi sunichena. Kuch bhi bole, namra raho. Tarorapi sahishnunam. Be tolerant. More than a tree. Amanina manadena. Give respect to others. Now there's an opportunity. Every spiritual guide gets this opportunity. Therefore, I always tell that become a spiritual guide and you'll get a lot of opportunity to become tolerant. You cannot do anything to the subordinate. Just tolerate. Only one thing that we can do is we can just smile at that person and say, "Beta, tere saath bhi yahi hone wala hai." And just tolerate. So, upalalana, treat one's own subordinate as one's own son and just tolerate the mistakes and speak sweet words. Because when the words are harsh, the other person will not be able to take it. In Krishna consciousness, the best thing that you can do to others is speak some good words, sweet words. Already the person has come just by inspiration, and when you speak harsh words, it's very difficult, very difficult. Many times, just because of harsh words, people have left devotional service, especially newcomers I'm talking about. When it comes to mature devotees, when they hear harsh words, they understand, okay, this devotee is immature. But when it comes to newcomers, they say, oh, what sort of spiritualists these people are. मुझे लगा था एक बार elevated लोग हैं सबके सब, white धोती, white कुर्ता, white face, but लग नहीं रहा है कुछ. It's not like that. So this is a very important point. Newcomers, they're always having this thing in the mind. They keep us on a very, very high platform, and they think that we are that. But when we become mature, then we understand that, okay, everyone is deceased, but they are not able to understand that particular point. There are cases which we ourselves have seen, that some devotee has spoken some harsh word and this person never turns up for the session again. So many times. Therefore, our words should be sweet. Even with the devotees we cannot take granted. Just imagine, devotees are so special. They're practicing bhakti nicely. We should speak nicely with devotees. So this speaking sweet words is also part of upalalana. Now I have done all this for my subordinate. First, palana. I have protected him from various disturbing elements. Second, poshana. I have nourished my subordinate with speaking Krishna Katha as it is from Vedic scriptures. Third, prinana. What is prinana? Yes, happy in all respects, and I have given some gifts. What are the gifts that I can give? Okay, gift of Krishna. Small books. Okay, that also can be given. Prasad can also be given, but all that is there. And with that, you're supposed to give Krishna consciousness. And more importantly, to be more specific, we have to give time and the process, how to practice bhakti properly. Process has to be, we should help them to rectify the process if they're not doing it properly. Next, upalalana, where I tolerate all their mistakes and treat them as one's own sons. Now, after you do this, then you have the right to do the next one called anushasana. That is, it's giving instruction and chastisement. King Gaya would also give them good instructions on how to become first-class citizens. This is called anushasana. Many times it happens that we have not invested, we have not done these four things to them. We have not done palana, poshana, prinana, upalalana, but immediately we start going to this anushasana. Please understand, a spiritual guide cannot do this. Only if you have done these four sufficiently, then this fourth one or this fifth one can be done. Anushasana can be done. If you have not done the first four, there is no question of going to anushasana. You cannot chastise that person whom you have not invested these four things. Once one devotee was very upset. He was saying, Prabhuji is not hearing me only, Prabhuji. Koi nahi sunta hai mera baat. Then I said, Prabhu, see, you have to invest something in them. What have you given them? Why are you expecting? And the devotee was very serious. And the devotee said, Prabhu, every time I give them. I said, what? I give a lot of service to them. I said, oh, very nice. And the devotee was not convinced. He was not ready to understand that you have not invested properly. How can you expect that someone will hear your instructions? First, you have to invest. And naturally, people will come to ask, Prabhuji, any instructions for me? But if you are not invested and you're just giving instruction, person will run away. He'll run away. Hey, Prabhuji, bekar hai. Run away. And there are people, instruction to फिर भी okay, chastisement. ऐसे लगता है कि इस्कॉन में उनको ठेका दे रखा है कि हाँ, आप है सबको शुद्ध भक्त बनाने आए हैं आप. You're the one who's supposed to purify everyone on the planet. Chastisement, unnecessary chastisement to those whom have not invested these four. Always remember, we can chastise only those who are very close to our heart. And why chastisement is done? Why chastisement is done? To prove our ego. Isn't it? कहीं तो ego satisfy होना चाहिए ना? False ego. नहीं. Oh, so why chastisement? Correction. To help the other person. The mood, you see the mood of this Anushasana? The mood of Anushasana is to help the other person. If the mood is not proper and if the person is trying to prove ego, then there will be a blunder in the person whom we are giving guidance and our life also. Blunder in both the devotee's life. Therefore, it's very important that we have to make sure that our mood is not to prove one's own ego, but the mood is to help the other person. So therefore, first, chastisement in public or private? पर पब्लिक में ज्यादा सीखेगा ना वो नहीं. So chastisement in private, glorification in public. So say the person has done some mistake, but still we glorify some part and tell him, I'll talk to you later. We'll meet separately. We'll talk to you later. And then the next one is, by the way, but the mood is chastisement is also this, that I want to help the person. So if your mood is not to help the person, you'll ruin the other person's life. We should not chastise as much as possible. Just tolerate, and with time the thing is sorted out. But if not, then if we have to, if it is needed, if the other person is stubborn, then no problem. We can. But in private, with the mood of helping the person. Instructions should not be whimsical. We should repeat the instruction that we had received. We cannot give instructions which are whimsical, just for my own ulterior motive. No. It has to be just a repetition of what we have received from our superiors. So these are the 5 things that a spiritual guide is supposed to do. First, Palana, Poshana, Pridana, Upalalana, Anushasana. This King Gaya was doing for his subordinates. But also very, very important, to do these 5 and to call yourself as a spiritual guide, you need to have another 4 things with yourself, which King Gaya was doing himself. First is strict sadhana. Besides all this, King Gaya was a householder who strictly observed the rules and regulations of household life. He performed sacrifices and was an unalloyed pure devotee of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Strict sadhana is very, very important. Only when we are doing strict sadhana and quality sadhana, then we can take the responsibility of others. But if our sadhana is not strict, it's almost like I don't know swimming and I am helping others to swim. Yes. So it's a deadly thing to do. Therefore, it's very important that our sadhana should be strict and it should be quality. If it's not happening proper, we cannot help anyone. Lalan, Palan, etc. forget it. Not possible. Second is clear goal. If our goal should be clear, our prayojan should be very clear, that I am here to attain Krishna. I am here to become pure devotee. King Gaya was called Mahapurusha because as a king, he gave the citizens all facilities, and as a householder, he executed all his duties, so that at the end, he became a strict devotee of Supreme Lord. At the end, what is he aspiring for? To become strict devotee of Supreme Lord. Prema, yes, finally Krishna Prema. But that we'll be able to get only when we become pure devotee. So I'm doing all this for what? To become pure devotee of the Lord. This is what he's aspiring for. I want to become pure devotee of the Lord. So if the goal is not clear, if he's not aspiring to become pure devotee and say he wants some position, recently one devotee was sharing that when this goal is not clear, then the person wants stable chair, he wants servant, he wants gadi, driver, etc. And he thinks he's advancing in bhakti. But goal is proper nahi. So goal has to be clear. I'm here to become pure devotee. So when I am eager and I'm hankering to become pure devotee, what happens? Naturally, I'll speak about it. Naturally, the other person will also be able to relate to it. He'll also start aspiring for the same. I'm not pure devotee, but I'm aspiring very ardently, very eagerly. I'm aspiring to become pure devotee. That eagerness gets transferred into the heart of the other devotee. That is also a very important gift that we give to the other devotee. Eagerness to attain Krishna. So goal has to be clear. Third one is Vaishnava etiquette. King Gaya, as a devotee, he was always ready to give respect to other devotees and to engage in the devotional service of the Lord. So King Gaya was not punching anyone. He was not getting into some very, very obnoxious activities. He would follow proper Vaishnava etiquettes. Very, very important as spiritual guides and as spiritual managers also, it's very important that we need to understand the proper Vaishnava etiquette, and in all our dealings, Vaishnava etiquettes should be shown. ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए कि all our past samskaras pop out very nicely. बचपन में बहुत गाली देना सीखा था तो अभी चालू तेरी etc whatever you can fill in the blanks, whatever you know. Right, that never ever such language should come from our mouth. Never ever it should happen that we violate some Vaishnava etiquette. No, we cannot do that. We cannot. We cannot go and punch in someone's stomach and then make him bleed and say that I'm your spiritual guide, I can do anything. No, we cannot. We cannot ever go violent, physical. We cannot emotionally torture the person. No. Vaishnava etiquette has to be followed. Does not matter what is the situation. Vaishnava etiquette has to be followed. And one Vaishnava etiquette that he is showing is giving respect to other devotees and to engage in devotional service of the Lord. He was very clear. And finally, the fourth one is humility. It's so wonderful. Fourth and one more is there. Humility. Although he was perfect in all respects, he was not proud. Wow. देखिए, he is a king. He is good at everything, but still he is not proud. Humility is a very, very important element in Krishna consciousness. I don't know how many times we hear in how many Bhagavatam classes. घुसता ही नहीं अंदर. Humility का H भी नहीं घुस रहा है. But surely, more we hear, at least one thing will be clear, that humility is a very important element which I don't have. At least itna to clear hoga. And with time, we'll pray to the Lord, and by Lord's mercy, we'll be able to develop humility, which is born from bhakti. Some people are naturally humble also, but that's born from the swabhava. That's okay, appreciate it. But that humility which is born from bhakti, that is glorious. So with time, by Lord's mercy, that will manifest. That is humility. And also, another very important thing, when it comes to King Gaya, the fifth quality is he was calm in all situations. Or we can say, not anxious. He was not anxious. Although he was perfect, he was not anxious to rule the kingdom. So ज़्यादा tension नहीं ले रहा था वो, because he knows very well that okay, Lord is there, Lord will help. My job is I have to do devotional service. And whatever little I can do as a king, I will do. But if it's out of control, then what to do? It's okay, I'll not be anxious. See, a spiritual guide, when he is very calm and cool, naturally the subordinates will be very peaceful. If he is agitated, everyone else around will be agitated. Obviously, as human being, we might get agitated, not a problem. But we should reduce the frequency of the same as spiritual guide. So these are the 5 things that we see that one should do to get the service of being a spiritual guide. And then as a spiritual guide, we should do the other 5 that we discussed. So 5 things that we're supposed to do to qualify as a spiritual guide. First one, strict sadhana. Second, goal should be clear. Clear goal. Third, following Vaishnava etiquettes. Fourth, humility. Fifth, so not anxious. So these are the 5. And when we are doing this 5, and then when we are giving the service of being a spiritual guide, then we do the other 5 to help the subordinates. First, Palana. Second, Poshana. Third, Pridana. Upalalana. Anushasana. So in this way, if we are able to do this, we will become a very nice instrument in this entire mission of Krishna consciousness. We'll be able to do substantial service to please Guru and Krishna and attain a good destination. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.